Hi everyone, Tim here from Flavour Blaster with a brand new episode of Tim's Tips, the series where I answer your questions and fix your problems. So let's get into it. This week's topic is red flashing lights. Now this is in reference to those times that are really unfortunate when you have your Flavour Blaster fully charged, you press it on, and then when you go to use it, everything should be in working order, but you press the trigger and these red lights flash 3 times on the side. Now this specifically means that the aroma tank is not being detected by the Flavour Blaster. It is quite common, but it's a very simple problem to fix. So here are some steps and some troubleshooting tips for you to follow, and hopefully you can get it working again. Step number 1, simply ensure that your Flavour Blaster and the tank are clean. The easiest way to do this is to use a dry cloth or some blue roll. Take the aroma tank out, dry and clean the underside of the aroma tank first, then use the same cloth to dry the inside of the Flavour Blaster nozzle. Step number 2, if the problem does in fact persist, like so, is just to try a different tank in the nozzle. So swap this tank that isn't being detected with another one, put it in, and you should see, if it works, green lights flash on the side, which means that the problem is something to do with this, and it's more than likely the coil. Alright, so this is our problematic coil. We now know that it is something to do with this, or very likely to be the case. So what we're going to do is disassemble. Before we swap with a brand new coil, we're basically going to disassemble and just do one final check, which does sometimes fix it. So we're going to get it down to the coil and the base. We're going to unscrew slightly and then screw back on really tight. And then we're going to put it in the Flavour Blaster as it is, without the casing, without anything else, and do a test. There we go, and sometimes that fixes, as it has done here. But if it hasn't fixed it, then we are going to swap this coil for a brand new one. Okay, so we now know that it is in fact the coil, and we are going to swap this old one for a brand new one. So we can get rid of this. This is a brand new coil. We are going to screw it in really tight, and then we need to prime the cotton, that's the white slots, the 3 white slots on the coil, with aroma liquid, like so. 1, 2, and 3. Next up, we are going to add the glass casing, and then the first screw top lid. And now we can add the aroma liquid to the entirety of the tank, but let's just make sure that none of it goes down the middle hole. If it goes down the middle hole, again, the Flavour Blaster won't work. It has to go down these side slots, like so. Fill it up past the minimum line. Just fill it up right to the top. And then this is pretty much ready to go. Last piece is the final screw top lid, and then we're going to insert it and then hopefully see green flashing lights when we do so. There we go. Quick test. Excellent. So the final step is to check for damage to the internal part of the nozzle of the Flavour Blaster. Now this is actually something that you can just do regularly to double check that everything's working and in place. What you have inside of here is something called a mag mount. Now this is what our aroma tank sits on. And what you have here is a pin in the center and a pin just on the outside. And what you're looking for is damage to those. Sometimes they can be pushed in too far, sometimes they can be off center, which means that the tank won't be detected by the Flavour Blaster. The easiest way is obviously to use sight, but also just use your finger to very gently check, make sure everything's protruding and in place. Unfortunately though, if you do detect any damage to these parts, we will request for you to send it back to us for repair. Just get in touch with customer support and we'll fix it for you ASAP. So I hope these troubleshooting tips have helped and you followed the steps and you now have a fully functioning Flavour Blaster that doesn't show any red lights when you press the trigger. But there's two final tips to remember just to make sure that this problem doesn't happen again. Number one, keep the internal part of the nozzle clean at all times, or as much as you can, along with the underside of the aroma tank. And the second one is don't leave the aroma tank inside of the Flavour Blaster when it's not in use after service and overnight. All right, so like and subscribe. And if you have any problems of your own that we need to fix for you, feel free to comment in the section below, and I'll see you next time.